What's up, YouTube? I know you can't really see much of me right now, so I'm having to film this in a hotel room because I just came back from vacation and I also had to go on a work trip, so I didn't get really a chance to record anything. I have a couple videos that I have to edit, but I don't have time to edit, so I figured I'd just make this real quick and kind of go over how to set up a quick um, breeding group. So I'm doing this. I'm doing two videos like this week because I don't have time to edit, so it's easier for me just do this without editing, and then go from there. So I'm gonna do one for bearded dragons. I'm gonna do one for ball pythons as well. So for the bearded dragons, I'm gonna just for both projects, I'm gonna pick a specific morph, and we're gonna practically create a breeding group around that morph. So today, bearded dragons, we're actually gonna go and look at zeros because they're more common than any other like specialty morph, higher end morph. So so wiblets and zeros and weeros, those are all recessive morphs that practically affect the pattern of the bearded dragon. So zero is patternless and colorless. People like that, so that's why we're going with zero. It's pretty common and people like it. So I'm going to go ahead and create whatever is on Morphmarket right now. So it's 10:17 at 5:18 p.m. on Eastern. So this video is going to go live here in about a little under 2 hours. So yeah, no editing. It's whatever I'm saying right now is going to get posted. So let's go ahead and make this video real quick. So obviously I'm on my Morphmarket here. It's funny because I was looking at these and I just recently started asking for people to leave ratings. I have 24 ratings on here, and the reason it's 4.8 is because I sold a wholesale group like 2 years ago, and the person did not like the group, and they left me a bad rating saying that I sold them too young of dragons and died after a week. And I'm like, the dragons were already a month old, and if it died, there's not really much I can do. And they knew about the age; it was in the listing. But that's besides the point. That's the reason it's 4.8. So I don't know. Do I have any zero stuff? I don't have any dragons lists right now. Most of everything is on the website, and it's kind of weird. I used to use Morphmarket a whole lot, but I haven't used Morphmarket much here lately. Been so busy. So my internet is also super slow because of being in a hotel room. So let's see. I don't think I have anything that's 100% het zero. So I'm just going to go straight to, what's funny? Let me look at something. I said I had 24 reviews. Let's do something. So it'll load. All right. Build it. I'm going to do all the ones that I've sold because I want to see what my ratio is. I sold 189 animals on the Morphmarket and I only have 24 reviews. All right. Thanks, buyers, for not leaving reviews on here. But that's besides the point. So all right, so and look at the bearded dragons, see what we can find here. So what we're going to try to do is one male, and we're going to try to do females. And at this, I'm also going to talk about how much it'll cost to get them up to size, as well as how much it'll cost to get the enclosures, as well as how much it'll cost to get the babies up to size when they hatch. So it's going to be a lot of money talk today. And I'm actually been bouncing the idea around my head on setting up another channel strictly for the financial side of bearded dragons and ball pythons. And obviously I'll try to do other reptiles. Even though I don't have all kinds of reptiles, I still know enough about other reptiles. It's just I never got into them. Like I have a tortoise and I have acumonitors, but it's not enough for me to like, I know how much they cost, I know how much the startup is and all of that stuff is. I just don't know enough to make entire videos, but I'm good off more like this. So I can do financial stuff about them, but I can't do enough videos to make a, an elaborative video on the subject. But all right, so when we're talking zeros, you cannot breed visual zero to het zero. You cannot breed visual zero to visual zero. The only way you should make zeros is het to het. So they both be 100% het in order for you to make a zero baby. So what we're going to do, we're going to go into genes and traits here. If you've never used Morphmarket, I suggest you do. Morphmarket is awesome. So we're going to go into genes and traits here, and we're going to put het zero. And everything that'll pop up is 100% het zero. Now, if you want and exclude any traits, so let's say you don't like leatherbacks, you can go ahead and exclude leatherbacks. Let's say you don't like Dunners, same thing. It's whatever you want to do. So for right now, I'm just going to leave it as is, and we're going to search for a male. So you want to start off with the male first, because obviously then you can work your females around that one male, because you're only going to have one male, but you're going to have several females. Now with zeros, a lot of zeros, that are hypo sell very good. So maybe you want to start off with hypo het zero and make both of the parents hypo. That way you can only get the hypo zeros if they do come out as zeros. So you'll probably have about 25% chance per zero. So let's see. Let's find a male. You know what? Let's change this gender here to male as well. Sorry for the background noise. I'm in a hotel. So here we go. So to make this the most well-rounded pairing, you can add a little bit of dunner in there, leatherback in there, whatever you want to do. So let's see. Obviously, you're seeing all these people's names. If you want to buy a dragon, go ahead and buy one. If you want to buy one from me, great. I'm actually, I'll be making a video here soon, but I will be making a sale all of November. It's going to be 50% off. So just be on the lookout. That includes all the ball pythons that are juveniles and all the bearded dragons that are juveniles on my website. And then I'll also, on top of that, be doing 25% off subadults and adult ball pythons and bearded dragons. So it's going to be a pretty good sale if you want to get into breeding. So, you know what? I like this hypo het zero leatherback dunner. Let's see if it's a het trans, 66% het trans. What is it? So it's also possible het wiblets and possible het trans. So, and 25% het red monster. You know what? I'm not really a huge fan of red monsters, but it is what it is. Most people have red monsters now. So, all right. So here's our male, hypo het zero leatherback dunner, possible het wiblets, possible het trans. So we have $225 on this male. Let's go look at the females now. So with that said, not only do you have $225, you also have to buy an enclosure, which is probably going to be another $300-400. So you've already spent at least $650, let's say $650 on one dragon there. Now let's change this gender to female, see what we can find. Here right off the back, I like these two. I've been looking at these two for a while. I actually have a female from Walmart and Gentleman's, so go ahead and buy one. You know, that's all I gotta say. So obviously you don't want to get another one from this person because that's where the male's coming from. But here's one this one's a little bit bigger. This one's a little bit bigger. So it really just depends. So this one is listed as het zero, but I've looked at this one. This one's 66% het zero. So there's a few different things on there. You also want to make sure you're not getting a leatherback or a dunner because the male is a leatherback and also a dunner. So you know what? Let's go ahead and do that and take them off, make them excluded. Let's see. This also doesn't help if people aren't putting the correct genes into their listings. Like this one here is it's obviously a leatherback dunner and it's not showing up. It is showing up, so that means it's not been fixed right. So here we go. We got a few. So let's say I personally like these because they're genetics price, but you don't have to buy those. So let's say you spend they're kind of all over the place. You can buy these older ones if you want, but just for the purposes of doing this, the average is $200. So let's do $200 per female. That's $400 plus another $400 on their enclosure. That's $800. That's $1,200 spent on the females, plus $650 on the male. You already, spend $1,800 on these pairings for feeding them for 2 years. So while we're doing this, I also want to show you what your outcomes are because of the fact that you're going to be breeding them. What are you going to get out of this pairing? So we're going to use this Morphmarket calculator. But you already spent $1,800 and you're probably going to spend another $500 or so for feeding them. So at a minimum, you spent $2,300 on these dragons, and maybe even more if you have to spend. Like it depends on what you're feeding them, obviously. But so a lot of this stuff is fluff that I'm going to remove. I hate when people do this. No, not big on anybody. If you do it, great. But I hate the fluff. There's no need for you to do all the fluff. If you're selling a dragon, the colors and the look of it alone should be enough. And I'm also removing the possible stuff because it's not necessary. So the male was a hypo leather dunner at 0. So you have, what is it? How many possibilities? What does it say? It used to say how many possibilities you had. You have a few possibilities. What is it? 8? You have 8 possibilities there. And we're going to look at the zeros mainly just to show you what they could be bringing in if you were to hit one. But $2,300, and out of 2 females, actually I said 3 females, didn't I? I think I said 3 females in the beginning. So add another $600 on top of that. So let's say $3,000, just to round it up, $3,000 to get 3 females, 1 male, and all the enclosures. And obviously it depends on how much room you have because you're also going to need a huge baby rack or you're going to need several enclosures for the babies when they hatch. So that actually increases, yeah, $3,000. That's probably about right. Now you're probably like, I don't have $3,000 to buy everything right now. Well, then just it's not going to work, man. Just buy one female, one enclosure, wait a little while, then buy the male in the enclosure, and that way you at least have the male and the female, and then, or maybe don't buy the male until later on and just buy the females right now. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. You're not going to be getting rich quick off of this. There's going to be a lot of determination, a lot of hard work, a lot of sweat, tears, dirty knees, dirty hands, nasty fingernails. That's part of having bearded dragons. So here we go. Let's start from the bottom, a hypo zero. Out of 3 females, at a minimum, if they do lay eggs, you probably get around 15 the first time, around maybe 20. I've seen them have at least, I had, my biggest clutch has been 31 eggs. So it really just depends. So here we have some hypo zeros. They're around $400. Hypo zero, this one is way under. Oh, minor tail nips, $400. So you hit one hypo zero, that's $400. And that's 1 out of 8 babies is going to be hypo zero. On average, every female is going to lay about 20 eggs. So you at least get 2 hypo zeros, 2 leatherback hypo zeros, 2 hypo dunner zeros, and then 2 hypo leatherback dunner zeros. So we're going to keep going. So you're already at $800 just off the zeros because you're getting 2 of them. Let's look at the leatherback version. I'll be opening up a Word document and adding all this up too, so you all can see it at the end of the video. I don't even know how long this video is going to be, honestly. I just kind of wanted to make something real quick. And this one's another $400, $500. So let's say 450. So that's 900. So that puts you at $1,700 for 4 zeros. You have 4 more to calculate. I'm assuming the dunner is going to be around 450, 500 as well. Let's see. Yeah, some people are underselling these zeros. I'm not gonna lie. Look at this one, $1,100. That's where when I used to buy zeros, that's where they were. 400, 600. So they're all over the place. I'm just gonna say they're $450, just like the leatherback version, just to make it even. And then I'm assuming the hypo dunner leatherback zero is gonna be like $600. But if I can get my computer to load, well, no. So that's $100. That's $2,600 right there, just off the zeros. That's half the clutch right there. Here we go. And yeah, $600, $700. So let's say $600 just to call it a day. This one's sold. I mean, these two. It also depends on what you price. This is all from Courtney at Bourbon City Exotics. She sold both of these this year, and then somebody undersold this one. Ridiculous. I hate when people do this. You see somebody selling them for $650, $700, and you're just going to cut $250 out of there. What it probably was is they were probably being head or the visual zero, and they were noticing that there was probably problems with them. I could be wrong. I don't know, but that's just how it is sometimes. So $650, $700. Let's say $700, $600. That's $1,200 off of that. So that puts you at $1,800, $1,200, $3,000 plus another $800. So that's $3,800 off just the zeros in one clutch. So now I'm just going to go ahead and open the Word document. All right, so here's the Word document. That's how it's going to open up. Took me a little while. My computer slowed down tremendously. Got too much things going on. So here we are. Now, if I remember correctly, the male was 250. The females were each 200. So let's do 200 times 3. And that's on average. Obviously, everybody's going to find different things. And then for 4 enclosures, let's do $400 times 4. So just there, what do we have? 600. No, I can't do math right now. So you got 1,600 plus, so it's 2,450. 2,450, so $2,450, plus another, let's say, $550 for feeders for their first 2 years of life, or a year and a half, however long it takes you to get them up to size. Might be a little bit more, but this is just a guesstimate. So let me label these: male, females, closures. If I can type, y'all gonna let me type like that? Total equals $3,000. That's just the adults or the breeders you're gonna have. I'm not going to go in and add all the baby racks and extra enclosures you're going to need and all that because of right now, I don't know what you're going to do. If you're going to do a bunch of enclosures, that's going to be a different cost than if you're doing a baby rack. I probably spend $600 on a baby rack and it probably holds 100 babies, 150 babies. So you can do enclosures and might hold the same amount, but it might be a little bit more expensive. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to do. I personally can't tell you how to make a baby rack because it's a lot of work. And maybe I'll have to make a video next season whenever I have to put it together. But as of right now, I cannot do that. But yeah, that's probably $600, $700 what it cost me to make the baby rack. So that is what it is. All right, so just from the zeros, as I mentioned earlier, you have $800 from the hypo zeros, $900 from, or $1,800 from the hypos leatherback zeros, hypo dunner zeros, and then another $1,200 from the hypo leather dunner zeros. So that was a total of $3,800 just off the zeros. I like doing the dollar signs afterwards. I don't know, I'm weird like that, and I think because of the way you say it, you say $3,800. You don't say $3,800. That's just the way I do it because that's the way I talk. Obviously, everybody says it like that, but I don't know why we put the dollar sign in front. It's just me being picky. Obviously, it's not the correct way, but that's just me being picky. So $3,800 is what you'll make off the zeros, and that is per clutch. So I'm just going to put that in there. So if you have 3 females, each of them gives you 1 clutch, then you're obviously going to get, 3,800 times 3. But if each of them give you 2 clutches, it's 3,800 times 6. And on average, they give you about 3 clutches. So it's actually times 9. So that's a pretty good amount of money, obviously. But now I'm going to show you how much it's going to cost you to feed those clutches. And we're not even taking into consideration the non-visual zeros because most people like to wholesale those, and some people like to sell them as pets. And it's whatever. So I'm not even going to price them because you can give them away. You can put them for $50, $25, or some of them you probably can sell for $200. It really just depends. So I'm not even going to add those in there. All right, so here we go. What are we doing? Feeder costs. Personally, I only feed dubia roaches. I don't like crickets to my baby bearded dragons or my adult bearded dragons. So I personally never buy crickets. So that's the cheaper alternative. I don't like the cheaper alternative. I like the expensive alternative because this makes health. Now, feeders, I probably spend $500 on a week on feeders, but I also have 10 clutches in a year where this scenario, so it'll be about the same. Actually, nope, sorry. This year I had 13 or 14 clutches, so technically I had a little bit more than this person having 9. So that's why I'm spending a lot more, because even though you have 1 clutch and then 30 days later they lay another clutch, or approximately, most likely you won't sell the clutches all before the other clutch show up. So you're going to be feeding several babies and several clutches at once. So here we are. Now, right now, I don't have any babies from clutch number 1, clutch number 2, clutch number 3, 4, and 6. I have a bunch of babies from clutch number 5 still. I have 2 babies from clutch, or 1 baby from clutch number 7. 8, I have a few. So it's still sporadic. So that's just obviously how it works. So clutch number 6 sold before clutch number 5. It's just how it works sometimes. So there we go. That's my TED talk for the day. I'm just kidding. So $500 a week to feed the babies. That sounds like a lot of money. It is a lot of money. How long does it take for you to be able to sell the babies? It takes about 2 months. But if they are fast growers, you can probably sell them after 5 weeks or so. It's my general idea is sell them at 8 grams to 15 grams. Now, why is there a gap? The reason there's a gap, the reason I do a gap is because for local sales, I don't mind doing the 8-gram animals, mainly because of the fact that they're not having to go through the struggles of shipping, all that compressed area or the tight spaces, and then also being dumped and kicked around and all of that, and also being on an aircraft down. That's a lot of things. It could really cause some harm to a baby bearded dragon. If they're not established, they could pass away. So I technically do not try to ship until after 15 grams. But I do local sales at 8 grams. The reason now you're, oh, that's a small baby. Well, they are born at 2 grams, so that's already 4 times size. So all right, $500 a week. It takes at least like a month to 2 months. So let's just say 6 weeks before you can sell a baby. So that means you've already spent $3,000 on that clutch or on the babies before. Now this scenario is not. It's just saying all 9 clutches hatch at the same time. Obviously, this is a terrible scenario. Because in real world, 3 clutches are going to hatch at a time, and you're going to have time to sell the first 3 clutches before clutch 7, 8, and 9 arrive. So it's going to be a lot different. But just for the purposes of doing this, I just want to kind of get it out of the way. Now, if you are selling bearded dragons, you're not going to sell all the baby bearded dragons before, 2 months, right? So I try to do, all right, in 6 weeks, it's before I can sell them. But technically, I probably won't sell all of the babies until about like about 6 months. I think I've had some babies before up until the 6 month mark, but usually it's about 4 months. So for me, 4 months, that means I'm doing at least 16 weeks at $500. Now let's do the math. If I'm doing 16 weeks at $500, that means I'm spending $8,000 on feeders. And if I'm getting 9 clutches at $3,800, I'm spending, let me grab a calculator because I'm not good at this. Let's see. Doing calculations on here. 3,800 times 9. That's $34,000 and 200. I didn't do the equal sign. What am I thinking? So that's how much you spent and how much you've made. So I'm actually going to put this in red, highlight it red. I'll show that this is feeder costs. Well, that makes it really bolder too. Can y'all see that? Hopefully y'all can see that. It makes it real dark. Is there a light red? Is there a light red? Let's do that. Y'all know the highlighted one is feeder costs. So you made $34,000, but you spent $8,000. How much does that leave you with? That's $26,000. That sounds pretty good. Think about everything you spent already, though. You've already spent $3,000. So now that's $26,200 minus $3,000 equals $23,200. Sadly, you have to pay Uncle Sam. And when you have sales of, when you have your own business, you get taxed 30%. So $23,200 times 0.7, because you already lost 30%. That leaves you with $16,240. God just let me type like a crazy person. Why don't let me type so crazy? This is what you're going to be left off with after an entire year of breeding for dragons. So you spent $3,000 to make $16,000. That sounds like a pretty good investment in 2 years. You spend $3,000 to make $16,000 in 2 years. Well, let's say that the values stay exactly the same. Well, 2 years from now, or no, it'll be the next season, right? You're going to be at another $23,200. And this time you're going to have to factor in the $3,000 because you've already got that back. You've already got that back the first year of breeding. Let's say you do this. I like to retire my dragons at about 3 or 4 seasons. So that means I do this for at least 2 more times minimum, maybe 3 times after the 16,240. So I'm going to do times 3. And that puts you at 69.6 plus the 16,240. Right? Well, actually, no, 6,900, and then you're having to get the taxes on all that. Hold on, let me get the taxes out. I forgot the taxes. Sorry, this is wrong. It's supposed to be 26,200 because you're not taking away the 3,000 anymore. I gotta do the calculations again. Times 3, so it's 78,600. That's a little bit more. Jeez. And then minus taxes. So I'll leave you the 55 grand. 55,020. And that is after taxes for the 3rd, 4th, and 5th year. So now we're going to add those two together. The 2 yellow highlighted ones are going to be added together. And it's going to be 71,260. This is the final number. This is what you have made after 5 years since the time you bought these animals to the time you retire them. So let me actually change this to green. All right. So you made $71,000 after 5 years. Personally, that's a lot of money. I mean, who else could say, "Oh, I made $71,000 in 5 years off 4 animals, off my pets," right? And you're gonna have to retire them. So that's the end. Are you gonna buy more? That's up to you. The problem with this is that most people, they get into this and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get rich quick." This is 5 years of work to only make $71,260. And if I divide that by 5, just to average out how much you made a year off your work, right? So divided by 5 equals 14,252. 5 years to make $71,000. At the end of the day, you only made $14,000 a year. You spent $3,000 today to make $14,000 a year for the next 5 years, which is pretty good. The problem with that is, how much work do you think you have to do to accomplish $14,000 in 5 years, or per year for 5 years, or for 3 years? Sorry. Yeah, no, it's right. This is average. If you were obviously doing it every year. You know what? Let's do it in 3. No, that's right. That's right. Let's just leave it like that, because I'm averaging out from the day you bought the dragon to the day you retire the dragon. So yeah, it's not a lot going on. It's not a lot that you're doing. It's a lot of work. It really is a lot of work. It's exhausting. It doesn't make sense for everybody. The babies nip each other, and then there goes your money. The babies don't make it. I've had, how many babies have I hatched out this year? Like 180 babies, and out of 180 babies, I've probably lost, right out of the egg, I've probably lost 2 or 3, which is not a lot. It's a really good ratio, but after a while, they didn't thrive, they didn't eat or something like that. Usually that happens within the first couple weeks, and that's probably been a handful, so maybe 5, 6, something like that. So I'm not gonna lie, it's usually the most expensive ones that don't make. So that's just how it goes. That's the way life rolls. So yeah, you might not have all of them, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And yeah, it's a lot of work. You know what? Let's do this. Now I'm going to divide that by 52, because 52 weeks in the year, so I can show you how much that is weekly. That means you're going to make $1,274 a week on average. Obviously, this is breaking off the entire profit into 52 weeks a year, which is ridiculous. I mean, all that work you did, you're paying yourself $274 a week. This is not worth $274 a week. I promise you. If someone called me and said, "Hey, you want to clean up beardy poop, or you want to feed bearded dragons, or you want to do this and get on your knees and make sure everything's scrubbed down, and you want to disinfect everything once a week, and you want to do this and you want to do that, and you have to clean and feed every single day. You got to make sure they get water every once in a while." It's not weekly or anything like that, but stuff. There's a lot that goes into it. You got to make sure that the lights don't go out every year. You got to make sure that the lights are always on. You got to wake up early. You got to stay up late. It's a lot of work. You got to take pictures. You got to go to shows. It's not worth to know $274 a week. It really isn't. It really is not. But I do it for the love. I don't do it for the money. So that's just me. And this video ended up being a lot longer than I wanted. But as always, if you made it this far into the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything that I put out in the future. As always, peace. And you probably can't even see me because I'm a little tiny screen on the screen. So there you are. Deuces.